Memorizing a folk song. How does one go about doing that? These old songs that go back to the 70s and 80s, I'm going to give you an example today. Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Peter, Paul, and Mary. Pete Seeger, I believe, wrote the song. The melody could be in your head, and you'll need to know the chord progression, but there's a way to get that figured out. And also the storyline. We talk about where the flowers gone, and we talk about, the flowers, and the girls picking them, and then, the young girls finding husbands, and then soldiers, and the soldiers turning into graveyards. So there's a storyline with about 3 or 4 verses without a chorus. And so you get the structure all figured out, you look at the chord progression, and you start using some acronyms of everyday life. For example, it's in the key of G, and where have all the flowers gone? Well, that starts with a G because it's in the key of G, and of course E comes next. What do we know about GE? Well, that's an acronym for General Electric. So the next line, long time ago. Well, CD are the next 2 chords, and it just so happens to be the acronym short for compact discs. So, well, this is a 6-line verse, and those 2 lines repeat, so therefore we've got 4 lines memorized. But how about the last 2 lines? Well, the G and the C that start the 2 lines are now reversed in order to close off the verse. And that kind of will happen sometimes in harmonic progression. But of course, there's a dominant chord to close off the verse right in advance of the G, because we're in the key of G. So, what do we have there then? Well, CG, CG, with the dominant 7th chord there, D between the C and the G on the last line. Okay, so this is structure, some acronyms, some imagery, all in play when memorizing a song. Now you go through each verse and be thinking about the storyline and context. Suddenly, we've got a song pretty much memorized, because in our subconscious mind we heard that song quite a bit in our youth. And if you got some years behind you, it's not a bad idea to go back to some of those old songs that you had in your repertoire that you didn't think you did because you just didn't think you were able to memorize the chords. Harmonic progression matters, and when you know logically what chord is going to follow another one, and if there's only 2 or 3 chords in a line, suddenly this task isn't as overwhelming as one might think. So, anyways, I'm going to follow up on this a little bit, thinking about the passing of Glenn Hansard today, or yesterday as well. He was somebody who really did showcase the singer-songwriter in the movie Once, and the tragic end to his life is just too much to bear. Thoughts for his family, thoughts for you as a singer-songwriter, potentially somebody who wants to memorize songs. Let's all do this together, and let's produce a better culture